This conference will now be recorded.
Well, welcome everybody to another wonderful edition of the webinar and learning all about maintenance today. I think we've got a couple new people maybe. So if you have questions, raise a hand, pipe up completely how you want to do it. You can put them in the chat over in the messages for the chat, and we will get to them. But other than that, I hope everybody's doing well today. In our case, staying warm. I don't know about the rest of the country.
Well, it was 16 degrees or something like that down in Tyler, Texas. So I'd say a good portion of it's kind of cold.
Wow. I never saw that low of temperatures when I lived in Texas.
Yeah. Oh, don't you wait. When we're down there in August, we'll get to see the other end of it.
I lived 4 years in Texas. I know the other end of it. I don't.
Done that. No thanks.
What was
They
it?
can,
100 plus days of over 100 degrees. I wasn't real excited.
yeah.
So let's see if I can get this to pull up. There it is. So today's topic is all about maintenance. Hopefully everybody can see that okay. As more people, welcome. Always happy to have new faces. So I'll give it a minute or so. For the new ones just joining us, if you got questions, you can do the little raise your hand or just ask, throw something over in the chat, and we'll answer it to the best of our abilities. But with that, let's get started on maintenance. So again, maintenance is, more of the, it's the key to keeping optimal performance. Everything that we've written in here is recommendations and requirements that are, all truly depend on how much you're using your machine and what type of material you're using. I mean, if you're using a material that doesn't really cause a lot of smoke or debris or soot or whatever you want to call it, then your cleaning may be a little different than somebody like us that, or somebody that's cutting MDF every day, all day long. And we're going to break it all down into stages. That way, for continuity, for workflow, daily, weekly, monthly. We've got semi-annually, but that also includes like every 3 months, annual, and then as necessary. Some of the supplies. It's been asked a lot, and everybody's got their own opinion on supplies. But these are just suggestions. Nothing's absolute. So some sort of lens cleaning solution, whether it's liquid 99% alcohol or the lens wipes. But you need something to clean your lenses and mirrors with. Microfiber cloths, buckets, general cleaning materials. I told somebody the other day, it's kind of like wiping down the inside of your machine. It's kind of like wiping the dashboard off on your vehicle. So something along those same lines. Any sort of mild cleaning agent, LA Awesome comes to mind, Simple Green, things of that nature. Lubricating oil, it's a 5W30 Honda motor oil. I think that's what comes in the that little squirt bottle or whatnot that comes in your toolbox. Is that correct, Chris?
Yeah. And don't go too crazy with it, right? 'Cause you'll get oil everywhere and then it'll cake up in dust. So it's just really rust prevention and light coating.
Exactly. Some sort of glass cleaner, and I use that and say for the Nova only because the Nova has glass, where the Bolt series has an acrylic, and you really don't want to use any type of glass cleaner on acrylic. And then some sort of heavy degreaser, specifically for your honeycomb. I don't know anybody that needs to spray like oven cleaner or something like that inside of your machine to scrub it down. I cannot see that going very well for anybody. So let's cover daily maintenance. Daily cleaning and maintenance, it's short and straight to the point. two things that require the most detail: the focal lenses and the mirrors. I've talked to people that clean their mirrors 2 and 3 times a day, or clean their focal lens multiple times a day because of the material that they're using. So that kind of daily maintenance, it's going to go strictly back to what you're doing. I know people that clean their focal lenses every 3 or 4 days if they think about it. So, and again, it goes back to, how much you're really using your machines and what materials. 99% alcohol or isopropyl alcohol or IPA for lens wipes, the cleaning swabs that come with. You don't want to use a microfiber towel or a rough paper towel. I don't even know if I'd use those soft blue shop towels. Um,
You want to stick with something synthetic, not wood-based,
exactly.
which the shop towels have a little stretch in them, the ones I'm thinking of. But yeah, softer.
Yes, exactly. Softer. Like I said, I love an alcohol prep pad, for lack of better words, or the lens cleaning kit. You treat that focal lens just like you treat your reading glasses or your spectacles.
Yeah,
Uh,
I tell people a lot too. Don't over clean your stuff either. Uh, like if you ever owned a black truck, washing it, guess what you're going to end up with? Scratches.
exactly.
So, clean as needed, right? Peer through it, make sure that it needs that cleaning before you just start rubbing the surface.
And the focal lenses specifically, if you clean too much, isn't there an outer coating on them, or one of the layers will start to come apart, considering it's ground crystal?
Yeah, I mean every surface can be, I guess, diminished with wiping, right? I've seen
Yes.
plastic poly bags for um, bundle products polish stainless steel. Take from a brushed look to a polished look. It just takes a number of repeated
Hmm.
wipes and it will do it.
Your mirrors, it's the same concept as the focal lenses, and don't remove them unless necessary. You start removing and replaces your your mirrors, you run the chance of altering your alignment or having to go back through the pain that can be of realignment. So clean them in place if you can. I know mirror 3 on the head, sometimes that has to be pulled out to get it good and clean. So keep that in mind.
Yeah, people are like, oh, I clean mirror 3 all the time. And then we're like, let's remove it, take it out of the mount. And man, around
Yes.
Thanksgiving, I was like, yeah, this thing looks like a burnt pumpkin pie. Like there was no reflectivity left.
And don't forget about mirror number 1, the beam combiner, but we'll get to those. It's not really a daily sort of thing, but just keep those two in mind as well. So
Yeah.
moving into weekly.
Well, on Mirror 1,
Go
there's some
ahead.
cool stuff, right? So on the Bolt and Odin series, well, you've got a Brewster window that actually
Yep.
separates Mirror 1 out of the lasering bay. And on the new Nova Plus, you've got a Brewster window. So this is basically a lens material with no focusing value that sits at the opening between Mirror 1 and Mirror 2 and protects it from getting dust and debris back there. Now, that doesn't mean it's completely isolated. It's just more isolated.
So that may be something that I can go back and fix the slides later to add to your daily. When you're wiping off your mirrors, wipe off that Brewster window. Uh, I completely forgot about that one because I look at the Novas every day, so they've just got a big hole. Um, your weekly maintenance, your beam combiner, which you can see here if you're not familiar with where your beam combiner is, it's back here by mirror 1. Depending on how nasty all this stuff can get, your mirror 1, your beam combiner, you may need to also wipe off the little spot on your red dot. Um, According to the manuals, the honeycomb, interior, exterior parts, etc., things of that nature need to be looked at weekly. I know for me specifically, or for us, the honeycomb gets done probably once, maybe twice a year. Full removal and heavy degreaser. and the internal parts, depending on which machine and how much it's done, you can quickly wipe stuff down, or you can scrub every few months or every 6 months or a year. On your Nova, the autofocus sensors, just be careful that you're not scrubbing them too awful hard and knocking the wires loose or pulling a wire out of the backside of them. And then for the bolt is your auto sensor post. You can wipe down the gantry and the belt. No harsh cleaners, just use a damp cloth. I've seen that, if you keep the gantry wiped off, and the bearings, that you reduce the residue that's on them, everything flows a lot smoother. You don't have to worry about adding oil to them if you keep them wiped off and clean. So moving into monthly, chiller air filters. So the air filters on the chiller is going to be on the sides of them. You pull them off, use some compressed air, or if they're that nasty, you need to replace them. Your bed screws, wipe them down to make sure there's just no debris, and that light oil if necessary. Don't oversaturate these things in oil, because all oil is going to do is collect dust particles and build up. I know on like my CNC router, if I put too much oil, there's sawdust stuck everywhere. So you also have in the photos here, so this is the Z screws for the Aurora. We're not just specifically talking about, one specific model. All the models are included in this. So this is your Z screws for the Auroras. They're back inside. For the most part, they stay fairly clean, but you can also get dust and debris in there from your regular atmosphere. For your RF tubes, the cooling fans that are on top of it, you want to use some compressed air about once a month and blow them out. This also, we've got exhaust fan and duct work. Pull it apart. Make sure you clean the little fins off of them. You've got again, the Aurora Z screws, along with the Nova and the bolt bed screws. And I had a thought and I forgot it, but it'll come back to me in a minute. This old age thing's killing me. And don't just, if you've got something, we just did it the other day when we were moving stuff around, the Auroras, the UV fan and the fiber fan, they get nasty as well. I wouldn't have thought too much about it, but the duct work on those, they kind of get a little dirty as well. So keep those things in mind. Semi-annual and annual. I kind of threw a bunch of them here together. So according to the manual, you want to replace the chiller water every 3 months. So if you're using antifreeze, replace the antifreeze with distilled water after the freezing months have passed. For somebody like, Travis there in Alaska, the freezing months can be a little longer than others. Some of us only have a few months to worry about it. Some of us have, half the year to worry about it. Look for algae growth. If there's algae growth in the tube, you want to flush the system with some vinegar is what's recommended to remove that algae buildup. And then ensure you flush the system again before adding the distilled water. Don't just leave the vinegar residue in there. And again, wintertime, throw antifreeze back into it so you reduce the risk of freezing. It doesn't prevent it, but it reduces it. Any questions so far? That's what I'm talking about. Now here comes the fun one. This is the as necessary on the maintenance. Your honeycomb, again, as necessary. Some people, they may never have to clean it. because they're not doing a lot. If you cut on your knife blades, you should take your knife blades out and clean them as well. I know we do a little bit of both at times, so the knife blades become really nasty and really gummy after a bunch of cuts with wood. Inside of the machine, I know for us it's once a year that it's hard scrubbing to get everything out, or whenever she gets a hair to clean it. Also, make sure your power's off, but wipe off the glass tube a little bit. That way, when it comes time to take a look at what color your laser tube is, it's easier to see. You can keep an eye on that and see how the tube's degrading over its lifespan. The glass on the Nova and the acrylic on the bolt lids. And again, don't use glass cleaner. Don't forget your crumb trays. Sometimes they get a little nasty, need to be vacuumed out. Sometimes they need to be scrubbed. And sometimes if you're like us, we find that, you've already burned off the paint because the laser's passed all the way through and, marked all the metal and removed some of that powder coating. For your Auroras, your bed, your exhaust opening, it's all right there together. You kind of wipe all that off. The glass as well, or the plastic, the inside, the outside, and rotaries. We don't really talk about them too much, but I've seen some pictures of some nasty looking rotaries, and we've had some nasty looking rotaries after a while so gently wipe them off.
And yeah,
Make,
I'd caution on the rotaries too with those rings. I've seen people, they're split. I've heard that alcohol, which may do a good job cleaning it, will dry that rubber out. So be careful what you clean it with.
yeah, I would say just a damp rag.
Yeah.
Just
And
a
those are,
general.
maintenance items to where you need to replace those rings if they get worn out. So, especially if you let them crack.
Yes, exactly. And maintenance just isn't, about just cleaning everything. It's also looking things over. Your preventive maintenance side, but and one thing that we don't really hit on with maintenance is clearing out your controller. That's an as necessary thing. That could be once a month. That could be every day. That could be every 6 months. Sometimes if we keep the controller clear, we run into less communication issues. I guess that's how you put it, Chris. A communication issue.
Yeah, so think of this as like a microcontroller running this thing and its memory management. So if that starts getting filled up, its ability to move stuff around, it just gets wonky. So keeping unnecessary files deleted helps it manage its memory better.
So again, maintenance isn't one of the important things that we can do. Sometimes we have to stop and we have to take the break, no matter how much we don't want to, and clean up everything and look over everything. Routine maintenance allows you to identify those possible problems before they come the problem. And again, it's not just cleaning; it's physically putting your hands on the parts. I know when Lois talked to the high school kids, one of the first things was about cleaning, and it's okay. Let's be aware of how hard we're cleaning or what we're cleaning and where we're cleaning, because you have a tendency to damage the end stops or the limit switches if you're not paying attention, or the autofocus, pulling wires out or breaking the little spring clips on the end stops. So you really got to pay attention as you're cleaning and wiping things down that you're not causing any more havoc. Now that can lead into a whole nother topic of spare parts to have on hand, but we'll get to that one in weeks. So nothing needs, you're not spraying oven cleaner inside of your laser. Nothing needs anything kind of harsh as like that. Maybe the honeycomb when it's outside. But we go back to, again, it's, the materials that you're using. If you're not, I don't know, I guess acrylic also produces a fair amount of residue. We don't do a lot of it. But I know for the UV, when you're doing glass, there's a lot of glass dust that's left. And that's the only way I can refer to it is glass dust. Metals and things of that nature from the fiber or the UV. So keep all these things in mind.
Yeah, that one comes oven cleaner. Only if you are going to use that, only use it on your non-coated honeycombs. The Nova series, not the Bolt series or the Odin series.
Was it the oven cleaner or
Yeah,
any harsh
yeah,
degreaser?
yeah, because you got either powder coated or anodized frame, and those cleaners can clean that off too.
Yes, a good point. Very good point. So inside, all of these links came straight from the knowledge base. So you can search the knowledge base for any of the cleaning tips and preventive maintenance and things of that nature. Anybody have any questions?
Hey, Tommy, can I mention a couple things?
Please, Travis.
Hey, so one thing to look at, sorry, I'm picking up some little things I clipped off. But one thing to keep in mind, this time of year, we always see kind of an increase of fires and lasers because we have, there's everyone that got their laser for Christmas. They're finally getting used to and comfortable using it, and they get overconfident and start walking away from their laser. So in my opinion, there's three things that every laser owner, it doesn't matter if it's a fiber, the Bolt, or a Nova, there's three things every laser owner should have. First one is a CO2 fire extinguisher, and have it in the same room as your laser, easy to access to. They are expensive, so I would put that at the bottom of my list. The next thing, which is at the very top of my list, is a fire blanket. For those of you who don't know what those are, so you can, I think they're like $25 or something. Yep, see? I think they're $25 for a 3-pack of them. Put them everywhere in your shop. Keep them by your laser. I have one on the wall and then one on each side of my all my lasers. The last thing is, find where I set it. Give me one sec.
I'm going to laugh if he brings out a spray bottle of water.
No, it's not a spray bottle of water.
Guard cat to alert you.
Okay, so this is my silver bullet. So I found these. They're made by Wham Bam. Those of you in the 3D printing community probably have heard of Wham Bam before, but they have a device called the Cloud. This does have the potential of destroying your laser. Keep that in mind. This is an ABC fire extinguisher, which is not very good for electronics, but it's better than burning down your house. The way these work, these are not heat sensitive at all. It does require an open flame to activate this. It has an explosive charge in it that will detonate and blow the ABC powder and instantly put out any fire in your laser or 3D printer. They're like 20 or $25. It's great insurance. You just stick it on the underside of your glass, inside your laser, kind of in the middle. If you have a 63, it does require 2 of them. All the other ones require just 1. But yeah, that's my newest find as a safety net. For $25, it's cheap insurance. If you have the other things, chances are you're going to catch the fire before this thing does if you're watching your laser. But if you do walk away and you're running your laser unintended, but you shouldn't be, as we all know, this will help protect you for that. But just know that chances are it will potentially fry parts of the electronics. So those are my 2 cents. Fire prevention on lasers.
We appreciate that, Travis.
So had you seen these yet, Tommy?
No, I have not. I know that, I'd say in the olden days when I started in the fire service, they were glass balls with
Hmm.
vinegar and baking soda in them that you could throw as fire bombs. Their certain extinguishers were like that as well. A simple ABC extinguisher works too. The way it works is it breaks the uninhibited chain reaction, so it puts the fire out. Um, Not the healthiest in the world. It's miserable to clean. That's one
It
of
is.
the issues. It's miserable to clean. Um, but
Yeah, but
it's
having an
better than
AB
losing your shop.
exactly an ABC extinguisher. I mean, a CO2 extinguisher is the best, but they are expensive. They're like I don't know what they are down in the lower 48. Up here, my 10-pound CO2 I think was like $380, something
Yep.
like that, and they have to get uh, basically recharged or they have to get maintained every single year.
Well,
And they
you
are
weigh
more,
them. You
yeah,
weigh
you
them to
weigh
make
them
sure
and all
that
that,
they.
yeah,
Yep.
but they are more expensive to maintain than an ABC extinguisher as well because they're done based off of weight and all this other stuff versus just going flipping upside down, tapping it with a rubber mallet and going, yep, it's good for another year. Um, but so just a couple things, I found these. I was like, yeah, that's snake oil. And then I got a hold of the guy at Wham Bam. He sent me some videos of him in action. I'm like, holy crap, that thing is insane. And when I say that this thing has to have active flames, it's got to be active flames, not just like a little match underneath it. I mean, it's got to be at risk of burning something down. So, like I said, they are designed for 3D printers, but they work great for lasers too. So it's cheap insurance. If you ever do have to put a fire out in your laser and you do use any type of ABC extinguisher, as soon as the fire is out, if you haven't already, cut the power to your laser and leave it turned completely off until you get all of the powder cleaned off. Because if that powder gets on those circuit boards, it is slightly conductive, so it can fry them. So just keep that in mind. But it's way better than losing your shop or your house or whatever.
Oh, this is somebody after my own heart. No, a reflective belt would not be good for safety. I got rid of my reflective belt the day I got out of the Army. That was
So
a
what?
question that we had in the chat. It's an Army thing, man.
Oh, okay.
Reflective belt on everything. Next time you're over at what is that? Not is that Elmendorf and
Oh, J Bear.
yeah, okay, that's what it's called now.
Yep. Joint base Richardson or Elmendorf Richardson. So
Yeah,
I'll actually be
yeah.
out there on Tuesday. So
You'll notice that no matter what, especially in the mornings, Army, the soldiers will be wearing a PT belt. If they're walking on the side of the road, there's a PT belt or a reflective belt.
huh.
So, yeah, it's a long-standing joke with that. Even in combat, the reflective belt will protect you. Um,
You sure that won't work on the lasers?
if I thought it would, then
Just
I'd have.
strap it all the way around it. That way you can't open the lid. You're good. Nothing can run that way.
It wouldn't surprise me if somebody in the safety center for the Army wouldn't have decided that one. So,
Yeah.
um, but with
Um,
all that being said, what are there any other questions on maintenance or any other comments or what to do, when to do it?
Yeah,
one other.
if you got a backflow prevention or a louver installed, you need to maintain those as well. Take those out of your system, check them because one, they can be gunked up open, gunked up closed.
Or
Not
like Tommy noticed in ours, which he's got to get the ladder out there to fix it. There's a wasp nest, right? Or mud daubers or something inside
There's a
of,
wasp nest in the duct on the outside of the
Fun.
building.
which is for the 51, which I need that to suck all the smoke out because it's such a big machine, and I'm usually cutting thick solid wood.
My,
Yeah, that's definitely got to get handled soon.
my
when it
my tip of advice with that, Lois, cut some thick wood first. Get the smoke going through to keep the wasps kind of docile.
Well, it's a little cold right now. It's 20 degrees. I know it's not as cold
What?
as y'all get, But it might actually be colder here than it is where you are today. It wouldn't
Yeah,
surprise
it's 38 here.
Yeah,
Oh,
yeah.
you suck.
So I think we've gotten more snow this year than y'all have too.
We are so currently we have no snow on the ground. It's bare grass, bare snow, or bare
Oh
everything.
wow.
We are 100 inches under where we should be.
Holy crap.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's like 3 inches of snow outside, Travis.
I'll trade you.
I keep having to like, keep my blinds closed a little bit because it's just too bright because, it's reflecting and it hurts. But
Yep.
my friend up there just got a chicken coop, so she's excited that it's not all covered in snow.
Yep. Well, they're having massive problems, like with the Iron Dog snowmobile races.
Yes.
They're having to run them on bare grass, and they're having to stop like every 10 miles and shut off their machines to let them cool down because there's no snow to keep the radiators cold.
That's insane.
So, yeah, the Iditarod is starting in Fairbanks this year. I mean, it just everything is weird.
Crazy.
Hopefully the Tannenall's frozen.
Yeah, hopefully, yeah.
I guess
Maybe
that's another thing.
maybe they'll barge the dogs across.
I wonder if people are in any kind of environment where they get enough snowdrift to actually block their exhaust.
I don't know, and after that's a good point. I didn't think about it, but thinking about the way the wind's been blowing around here and the drifts that we've had, I know what her shed's a foot or two off the ground, the door, and I've had to knock snow drifts off of it to get in the morning. So ours is positioned at the highest point, just to I force a habit like a chimney.
Two of them are. The other ones are in the window. So I mean, but if it got that high that it was up to my window, I'm not coming out here. I mean, I have to, but other than that,
Well,
it'll be me going out there to feed the cats.
okay, yeah.
I know we had that problem last year up here. They actually issued a moose warning last year because our snow was so tall. Moose were just walking right up on top of people's houses on their roofs, and so it is possible to to block those air vents completely. So make sure those are clear too. Yeah, if you live in a snow drifty area.
For sure.
What's funny is you can stop and think about maintenance all day long and all the little stuff and the what ifs and everything else. It's definitely an ongoing project. It's not just something that oh well, it's that time of year again. Let's go tune the car up, or this is ongoing, and we've seen that without it, problems start stacking on top of each other. One problem leads to the next, and then the next thing you know, you're $1,000 into parts and 20 hours of fixing it.
Or the fire has started because you let everything, debris build up in your crumb tray, and then a little spark gets down there. That happened to a friend of ours. Thankfully he was able to get to it quickly, and there wasn't a ton of damage. But that's another thing to, maybe your machine doesn't need a whole wipe down, but you need to sweep out or vacuum out that crumb tray.
Yep.
Like your other laser that you have that doesn't do anything anymore has the two exhaust tubes that crisscross underneath of the bed. Travis,
that gray one.
Oh, the gray and red one?
Yeah.
The one that's sitting in the middle of my shop right now, not hooked up to anything? Yeah.
Yes,
So
that one.
if you empty out or if you look in underneath the bed, you'll have two gray tubes, and they have a tendency to get filled with wood chips
It's
and cut off pieces, and that's what caught on fire in his machine.
Yeah,
it wasn't
well,
the one he bought from us, was it? It was his other one?
No, it was his other one.
Okay.
So is there anyone in here that has Nova 63 other than me? No? Okay. Then I won't even bring it up. But if anyone does, well, I guess I should anyways. But if anyone does get a Nova 63, I know Thunder doesn't recommend this. They are capable of cutting metal. And that becomes very, very important to keep that crumb tray spotless if you do decide to start cutting metal. because the amount of sparks thrown out from that are insane. Now, I mean, there's, if you do go that route, there's modifications you have to do. You have to inject, usually either oxygen or cutting gas, some sort of cutting gas into it. Sometimes it's just depends on what you're doing. Like if you're doing, stainless steel, I think you have to use nitrogen, I think. Anyways, but yeah, so
it's a shielding gas that
it's a shielding gas. But yeah, and just keep that in mind that if you do get into anything like that, or if you're starting to throw a lot of sparks, engraving tumblers or anything, yeah, definitely keep that crumb tray spotless. So we clean ours out usually once every 2 weeks to keep it as clean as we can. I don't do a ton of wood cutting anymore. Most of mine is plastics cutting and actual just lay down engraving. So I don't have to worry about it as much anymore, but we still clean it out every couple weeks. Because plastic will it doesn't look like it. You cut one piece of acrylic, you're like, hey, that didn't do anything. Yeah, cut a few more, and you'll see what we mean. You'll get some nice acrylic dust everywhere.
And the buildup on the knife blades from acrylic is really yucky. So, just because maybe your honeycomb doesn't look that bad, take it out and clean those knife blades too, because the stuff can really build up on those and get really nasty as well.
Yep.
And then another maintenance item that Travis kind of sparked my mind on, your air compressor. So anybody's got an external air compressor, you do need to drain that sucker.
Yeah.
Yeah. And it's some nasty water too, so don't drain it in your driveway or anywhere that you don't want kind of stain.
Yeah, it stinks.
Yeah. But that's a common one. Depending on your environment, it could fill up pretty quick, and you can hear it sloshing around as you move it. If it's a wheelable type, or have an automatic drain set up.
It goes into the oil for it. If you've got one of the larger ones, it takes oil. If you need to change the oil, your oilless ones are fine, but there's still certain things that you need to watch out for on external compressors. And yeah, I didn't even we also have the heat sensor underneath of the gantries. That's kind of a finicky little thing. So some compressed air probably to knock off any, potential residue on the heat sensors as well. That kind of stays out of the way, but you only remember it's there when something goes wrong or.
Hey, Tommy, how hard is it to add a heat sensor? So my 63 is a Gen 1. So it doesn't have the heat sensor on it. How hard is it to add it into that?
You should have one. What year is it?
Old?
No, like 2019, 2020.
No, it's probably.
Does it have dual air?
No.
Oh, so it is pretty old. That's probably.
Yeah, it runs the old style rotary connection pin and everything too.
5-pinner.
Yeah.
So that.
I think it's a 2017.
Oh, good God. All right, so you may be on a V6 teal timer.
Wow.
But
that thing runs almost every day, so that should say something about Thunder's quality.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, and to be honest, the less gadgets and gizmos, the better that thing's going to run. The more technology that gets packed into these things, we all love our gadgets and gizmos, but that's just more chances to fail. But for you, your best bet, of course, now the 63 comes with 2 of those heat sensors, would be to run them through a relay and tie into the door protect circuit.
That main power?
It depends on how you want to shut it down. So we go through I think the door protect circuit through a relay from the TL timer inputs, and that basically gives you the machine protected work paused. The TL timer does the work of holding the machine from running again. It keeps the relay number 4 open, to where you can't just say, hey, I hear you, and go with it. And then you'd want to tie into your stack light if you've got a buzzer in it, to give you a red light and annunciation. Of course, they could be retrofitted. They're just, I/O points.
Really, if the heat sensor triggers, I just want it to shut off. So,
yeah.
I mean, can I just like tie it in line with the e-stop switch?
I'd have to look more into the contact rating because your e-stop switch, all your power funnels through that.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't think those little heat sensors are rated for that. You would have to have a relay or a contactor.
Well, yeah, I was
between.
thinking of running the heat sensor to a relay and then
Yeah,
putting the relay in line with the switch.
yeah. The thing is, you'd then have to clear whatever's faulting in order to be able to reset and actually power up. Because once you kill the e-stop, you're not getting power back to the heat sensors. So, but yeah, I mean that's something that could be done. It's just how good are you at wiring?
Good enough that I bought the dual air assist retro kit and it's still sitting in the box.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. The word kit on that is definitely kit. It's not a pre-made kit. It's just a kit of parts.
No, I got that up here and opened the box, looked at it, I'm like, yeah, no, and just shut the box. It sits in a shelf now.
But you did it on Tommy. You did it on the Bolt that we had, or is it not the same?
It's not the same. I guess it would be fairly similar, but
well, the Bolt kit, my little plug here, is pre-made wire harnesses and everything like that. The Nova kit that Thunder sells is here's a couple spools of red and black wire. Yeah. Here's your crimps. Here's your connectors.
So
nice.
And there's a lot of wire you have to run.
Yeah. Chris was nice enough to wire everything together, so all I had to do was plug and play.
So it sounds like Chris and Travis need to talk once this is done and work a little deal.
Yeah, Chris can come up here and go fishing and install the dual air assist.
There you go. For being electrical, I hate electrical wiring because you're sitting back there crimping, stripping, crimping, and it's like just one more set of wires. And you're like finally done. Oh, these are too long. These are too short. It's miserable. But yeah, it could be done. It just takes a lot of effort.
Yep. Hence why it's sitting in the box.
Yeah.
It wasn't that important to me.
Better off with just doing a manual valve, having a manual shut off. But yeah.
Any other questions out there about the Thunders or whatnot? I mean, we've still got about 20 minutes. We've done pretty well. You're not going to start putting new people on the spot, but if y'all have any questions for us, please don't hesitate to hit us up. That's what we're here for.
Hey, George, check your messages, please.
We try our best not to have that awkward silence.
Done pretty good today.
Yeah, not bad at all.
I'm loving how many people we got here. If anybody's got questions, yeah, hit them up.
I know. I kind of got excited when I started seeing everybody pop up. Wow, nobody with questions. Doesn't have to be on maintenance. It can be on
rates. Michael?
I got you, Sam. I heard you.
Okay, yeah. I had to disconnect because I tried talking before and nobody could hear me. Anyways, yeah, you were talking about clearing out the controller. And forgive me, I've been here a minute, but I cleaned it out the other day. Is there a way to delete all, or do you have to go through 50, 60, 100 different names one at a time and clear them out one at a time? That's my question.
It would depend on which way you're doing it.
If you do it from Lightburn, yes, you can go to your file list and just, so under the window tab in Lightburn, make sure that you have file list selected. And then under that window, just click delete all files while your laser is on and you are connected.
Okay. Is there not a tutorial, but is there somewhere to tell me about that, or would written directions follow, please?
Yeah, I'll try and remind Tommy to send you a text later.
Okay.
We also should have it in the knowledge base, right, Chris?
Yeah, I'd say it's also in Lightburn's wiki.
Okay, I'll have we'll find it. We'll send you a link.
Okay, because yeah, I've done it on the controller, and you have to go one at a time, and that's a little painstaking.
Yeah,
All right,
that's horrible. That's horrible. I see.
Yeah.
I think that's Michael has a question.
Yeah, yes, indeed. Thank you. I actually have two questions. One's probably quick and one might not be as quick. The quick one is, do we have any hope of getting more than 8 characters in a file name on the Bolt series? I don't know if it's the same on the Nova.
No, that's a controller restriction, likely due to how many bits it takes to replicate 8 characters, their file naming convention and memory storage. So you
Yeah,
got to get to the
91.
yeah, you got to start thinking about vanity license plate naming.
Yeah, I mean it's kind of tough. I'm just writing over files at this point, and I've only had the machine up and running since Friday. The second question is, I had an anomaly with an engraving, and looking through some of the past sessions that you guys have done, I don't know if it's banding or not. I don't know if I can do a screen share here or not. Has anyone ever done that? Can I do that?
Is it stripes in your engrave?
Sort of. It seems like it's mostly at the end of a run. So I'm doing an engraving, and it's bidirectional, and it seems to happen mostly on the left end of it, oddly enough. And no matter where, I've tried putting the material in different spots on the bed, same thing. I've tried the same graphic on different materials, and it actually shows up more on wood than it did on the leatherette patch. But it's vertical and it's a wide stripe. If I look at it in the microscope, it almost looks like it is the section that I would call a stripe is far less engraved than the other stuff.
Sound familiar, Chris?
So I definitely wanted to get a picture and a support to going so we can get an idea of it. Maybe look at the files, that kind of stuff. You said this was on a Bolt?
A Bolt 32, yeah.
Okay, so the big one with the 55 watt tube, yeah. I'd take it as pictures. The last couple questions there, like is it local to a certain part of the bed? Is it always this part of the file? Changing the engrave pattern from 0 degrees angle to 180 to see if it follows to the bottom, that kind of stuff.
Yeah, that's interesting. I'll try that.
Yep.
But yeah, I'll get the pictures together and send them out. Thanks.
No worries. Any other questions, Michael? You good with those two?
I'm not. I don't have enough knowledge yet to know what to ask. But I'm sure.
Hey,
Well, I
fair enough.
kind of feel like I'm in the business of material test cards at the moment.
See, and you asked me, that's perfect. Spend your first time with that machine doing nothing but material tests. And that way you're dialing in your own settings on your material. And then from there, it's, I don't want to say figuring out what's wrong, but usually it's a few simple things after that with focal distances and adjusting your air, and then you're golden.
Yeah. I guess the other question I had was on the low side air. So we have the dual air. On the low air, I haven't really heard it quantified other than low. How low should it be? I mean, it has the little dial that tells me what it is, but I'm not sure how low I should go.
Depends on your materials. I mean, I don't want to say that, it sounds like a horrible answer. Your materials will and your engrave will dictate how much air. Acrylics don't like air. So almost, as low air as you can get with still having some there. For your bolt, for the bolt series, you've got the air nozzle that comes in from the side, so you can raise and lower that to alter your air as well. I tell people to turn it all the way closed and then open it one full turn, and that's a starting point. And then as you're running material tests, while it's running a material test, play with your low air setting.
Yep.
Open it up, turn it down, and see the differences in it. We do it with the Novas all the time, but it's a different, I don't want to say air delivery system.
Yeah. You just
So
don't want to go too low and risk the lens or something.
Yeah, I mean, as you get low, you're definitely increasing your opportunity of a fouled up lens. Um, but if you're trying to achieve a certain result, sometimes you got to do it, and that's why you got to be diligent about checking and cleaning.
Perfect. Thanks.
anybody else?
And then you've got a Pro 32, so you've got the gauge on yours, right?
I do. I do.
Yeah, yeah. So you've seen the
Yeah.
readout. They've got the recommend is that 0.3 psi. You can adjust that if needed.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, you have the high turned up as high as it goes. It's like 2.5, 2.6 or something like that. And the
Yeah.
low came at like 1.3. I turned it down. It's down to about 0.6 now. So
Yep.
I'd be just nervous about going too low.
Yep. You can adjust while it's running as well. So, and typically on wood, if you start to see a flame, give it more air.
Yeah.
I always have enjoyed, watching the differences in when you're engraving with, almost no air and then turning it up and just seeing the differences in. I don't want to say I've noticed a depth difference, but it's definitely a color difference.
Obviously,
Yeah.
that was done for testing purposes and not in the middle of a project.
Yes, testing purposes only.
Yeah, I've gravitated now towards mostly finished materials because a lot of it's wood, plywood, 1/8, 1/16, 1/4. Because the cleanup is just so much easier. So maybe if I can go even lower air, maybe I'll get less of the stuff blown on the material.
Instead of trying lower air, adjust your air nozzle up, raise it up a little bit more,
Okay.
and see if that does any difference for you. You still are getting air, but it's at almost a different angle.
Yep.
Something for you to test, but I don't know. I'm kind of a science guy. I like to test and see what happens.
We'll give it a shot. Thanks.
Any other new? Before I forget, I know Chris and I have mentioned it. We're thankful to see a lot of new names today. We appreciate you taking your time and listening to us ramble or answer questions or whatever it may be. So I hope you've gained some knowledge out of this today, and look forward to seeing everybody in the future as well. And it's always wonderful to see Danny. Sometimes it's wonderful to see George.
And we never get to see Sam, but we get to hear him.
Thank you for the shout out. I appreciate it.
Still love you, George. It's okay. So nothing else on maintenance, no other tech questions or anything that's been perplexing you?
Do want to give a shout out to Mr. Myers for helping me get my light set up.
Yeah, that was Monday. That was a fun Monday.
Yes, sir. That thing's making money already.
Nice.
Our new one gets picked up Tuesday.
What are you getting?
Version 2 of the 100-watt.
Nice.
Looking forward to playing with that one.
Really starting to make the push for those challenge coins?
No. Just looking forward to playing with it.
Cheryl, do you have any questions that you wanted to ask about any of the specific machines?
Glad you saw that one. I didn't see that one.
I'm trying to be your
Cheryl,
helper.
thank you. Thank you. I appreciate that. My attention span's not that. If you have a specific machine in mind or want to know anything about any of the machines, please, don't hesitate. You can type it right there. And yeah, sometimes it can be, information overload. We understand. The Bolt's a good little machine.
Well,
Um,
it's a line of machines now. It was just,
true.
it's you have options now with the Bolt.
I was shocked at how much faster the Aurora Light is for marking metals than the UV.
It's apples and oranges.
I know.
Yeah, I mean the UV is 5 watts, so, but it's so versatile of a marking laser.
And that's why we love it so much, because we can use it on so many different materials. We have one award that we make that is solid wood and acrylic, and we do it all of the engraving on the UV because it does such a good job.
So, Cheryl, do you need a computer connected during the? Yeah, as Chris Myers just answered, no. You can technically use a thumb drive and load the data and pull the file off of the thumb drive if you needed to.
And after you get done sending the job, if you were connected, you could disconnect.
But that's only for the
So
gantry, correct?
Yes, that's what I was going to say. That is only for the Nova series and the Bolt series. The Aurora series has to be maintained. A connection needs to be maintained because the data streams.
Yep. Now there does come to a point where I've made the mistake of either closing down Lightburn in the computer. I think it was just Lightburn, and the job finished, so it buffered something. But if you're doing a long coin engrave or something, yeah, definitely make sure you got that laptop, computer, whatever it is, UPS backed up. No screensavers, no USB port shutdowns. Nobody coming in there yanking cables, that kind of stuff.
So let's see, Belinda, for you on. We didn't really talk too much about cleaning the fans. I know most of the fans, at least the Aurora ones, and Chris, please correct me. The center of the fan comes apart on what all of our models. So you can pull that center piece out where the fan blades are to kind of wipe them down.
I wish it actually came apart again when we were doing the one for the Aurora the other day. I wish I could have separated where the fan blades were from, I guess, the motor portion. But I couldn't, so I just did the best I could.
Yeah, I'm not sure if maybe in the video when Loco does that, you may just take the two end caps off and then you clean it in place. I'm not sure if he removes it, but there is a connector on the inside. You could disconnect and unwire it and pull the cable out of the machine. You just have to run it back in there. It just kind of depends on what you want to do as far as the cleaning route. Is it easy for you to get to the back of the machine? Can you do the clean in place? Or do you want to remove it to a bench top or take it outside and blow it out?
And your Nova 51 Plus that's coming, it's going to be the same fan as on the rest of the Novas. It's not permanently in place. You put that where you want it or where you need to, and then you can take it apart and clean it a little bit easier. It's not. I don't want to use the term wedged in, but it's not wedged in to the machine. Am I right? It's going to be a separate entity.
Yeah, as far as I know, yeah, it's like the regular Novas.
Yep. So that disconnecting to get the fan completely out, that's the left-hand door all the way at the bottom, the two brown connectors. One's the power for the fan and the other's the power for the air pump. So you just
And
kind of got to be mindful of that.
yeah, and some of those could be green actually, depending on whatever stock they use.
Oh, ours was brown, I
Yep.
think, or a brownish green or something like that.
Yeah, they're tan or green. I got green. But I think everybody's getting the tan ones now.
Okay. Maybe ours was green. I don't know. I know when I wired everything wrong, I had rewired the fan or the air pump instead of the fan because I grabbed the wrong one, not paying attention. So, you're welcome, Belinda. I hope it helped. And I'm going to go ahead, and unless there's any other questions, anything big, I am going